Okay, I hope this is actually a smart question because I know that it was brought up on the broadcast, and you guys have already talked about. Gill had 52 yards receiving on the day on 5 catches. If you take out the 22-yard pass, he has 30 yards and on 4 catches. There was at least, you say 8 targets, there was at least 4 targets where he wasn't at the sticks. Why would you throw that below the sticks?
There were a couple plays, at least twice, Don, where they threw short of the sticks on 3rd down. Why are you throwing short of the good point?
Why?
Don, why are they throwing short of the sticks?
I remember a flat route by Gill, and he had 5 to gain 4.
Yep.
Well, first off, you shouldn't be that short on the route. I put a little blame on him for being a little bit anxious to cut it off a little short. Then beyond that, it was not a great throw, and he had to be a little bit out of bounds just to catch the ball, and by then they were on him. We didn't hit him in full stride type thing. It was a little bit low. He had to bend over and commit to just catching the ball. And at that point, he wasn't in any position to advance it. And so they were on him in no time and tackled him short. You're right. If you're not beyond the chains, you better be on the chains. And now if you're on the chains with a good throw, you'll have a chance to lean downfield and have your first down probably. But it's a cardinal sin. Don't be caught a yard short. And we were. Not once, but twice maybe?
Yes, twice.
Yeah. Yeah, just a little bit of awareness of what we need. I think the receivers in both cases were a little bit short. And with an ideal throw, we'd have been fine, but maybe the throw was a little bit off. They were compromised just to catch it, and then they couldn't advance it.
Very conservative approach. I'm not going to, not just today. We understand this is Kirk, but it was a very conservative approach basically all day. And when it doesn't work, there's going to be a lot of discuss. There's going to be a lot of attention on game planning and play calling. And yeah, the buck stops with the OC, but it also stops with the head coach.
I wrote 3 notes down in the first half of the game, and this was before our touchdown scoring drive. And I just want to throw them out here quick. 3 drop balls that were dead on target in hands in that early part of the game. I also wrote here, we need to take more shots downfield.
Yep.
And then my 3rd note, wide receivers are not getting open. Now, I'm just saying, those are the notes I wrote down.
Were you there, though? I mean, how do you know the receivers weren't getting open?
Well, no, I wasn't there. I was watching on TV, so this is my observation from TV.
But you can't see the receivers. You can't see
some plays you can, so whatever.
I don't know. I'm just saying you could be right. I mean, you could absolutely be right, because that's kind of a question we had last week, especially in quarter 1. Well,
I have to say, I have to believe with all the experience that Mark Gronowski has, if receivers are open, he's going to let the ball go. I don't think that he's going to hold it and not throw it. That's all I'm saying.
He did have one where he missed Sam Phillips. Mark was rolling right, and I have to wonder if maybe Mark.
I saw the same play. Phillips was wide open on the left side of the field. Yeah, I know the play you're talking about. Yes,
didn't go. So that's one play that comes to mind. But
right,
without going back and looking at game film, it's hard to just say.
Head coach not going for it in 4th and 2 in the 3rd quarter. I think there's a reason for that. Head coach believes that's the best way to win. It's his style, and he believes in it. But, Iowa didn't cross the 50-yard line again after that game. The reason he believes in it is because he thinks the other team's going to make a mistake and Iowa will win, and that doesn't work against good teams. There's evidence of that because they haven't won a game against a top 25 opponent in the last 5 years, Penn State, 2021. And then question. Is it possible that offensive coordinator Lester's offense that they've been trying to install is too complicated and it needs to be simplified for the average college quarterback? I'll hang up and listen to the answer. Thanks, guys. Have a good day.
That's a good question, Don. I mean, a comment on the 4th and 2 philosophy, but the Shanahan offense, what's being taught? Is there an argument that it's too complicated? I mean, all we had to hear about under the Brian Ferentz regime is how it took a year and a half or 2 years for a player to learn that offense. So is this more complicated? And if so, why are they implementing it?
Well, I think it's safe to say our offense, realizing it's got a little bit of Green Bay in it, it's more complicated than the average college offense. I think that's safe to say. But I also believe our players are bright. The ones that need to be bright, especially, are bright. I'm talking specifically about our quarterbacks. The huddle calls are they're longer than they used to be. I'll make that comment. In the old days, we would signal plays in. I did make the comment the other day. Thank God for the new helmets, so you can talk directly to the quarterback. Because if you had to signal all the call in, you'd end up being in trouble with the clock a lot because the calls are longer. Now I say that. That's when we're using motion. You didn't see a lot of motion today again. So obviously, if you're not using motion, there's less communication to be made. Or if you're not jumping the formation, you know what I mean when I say jumping the formation, Corey. You're lining up in one formation, and then you're jumping to another formation.
You told me there'd be more motion today.
I was wrong.
Why? Why wasn't there more motion?
Maybe concerned about crowd noise, I guess. Maybe. I don't know.
But we didn't see much last week either.
I know. You're right. Weren't you surprised? I fully expected we'd get more motion.
Yeah. I don't think about it in the moment as much as you do, but now that you say that, it's like, yeah, we didn't see much of any today. Donna, can we agree on this? If Iowa can't win one-on-one battles this year, and I thought they'd be able to on the outside at some point, if they can't win one-on-one battles, or Mark's not willing, or Iowa's not willing to call plays for receivers, because they had plenty, like Sam Phillips had plenty of one-on-one matchups today. If they're not willing or they're not capable of winning those battles, forget the offense evolving. Forget it. Just forget it. Receivers got to get separation, Don. You can't constantly run through a loaded box, right?
Well, here's what people might lose sight of. People always say versus press man. Well, you got to win over the top. So you see a lot of incompletes thrown on fade routes, right? But there are other routes to run other than just fade routes. If he's going to press up on you, I'll give you a specific example. You'll find this interesting. We were playing Arizona over in Kinnick years ago. They had a great cornerback. I think he was like the fourth guy in the draft, something like that. High draft pick. We won the game at the end of the game with a check that we ran because they were pressed up. We didn't know if they were going to do it. We checked the white 5 X-ray. White 5 X-ray is X and Y cross, 75 X and Y cross. Damon Gibson, the little short receiver that can run and jump, he's lined up in a split end. That All-American corners lined up on him, pressed up on him. Damon beat him on that play, but here's why he beat him. Damon came off out of his stance and went directly down the line of scrimmage. Didn't go downfield a yard. Meanwhile, here comes a tight end on a drive route. And guess what? The quarterback has to divert around the tight end who's looking back for the ball, incidentally. It's a rub route, but it's a rub route that people don't see because it's happening. David Gibson's running right down the line of scrimmage. He's not going to win with any kind of depth. He's winning with width. He runs across the formation, catches the ball on the line of scrimmage, and goes in the end zone for the winning touchdown. That was at the end of the game. That happened. So my point is, we got to be a little more imaginative with what to do. We used to never run white 5 X-ray until then, but we knew we got to beat an All-American corner, so we're not even going to go down the field a yard or two. He thinks he's positioned to take us on. What he never expected is we'd run right down the line of scrimmage. Actually, maybe behind the line of scrimmage a little bit. So we didn't win by running a traditional drive route, maybe where you're 2, 3, 4 yards downfield, because if you do that to him, he's fast enough, athletic enough, he might undercut the route and might intercept it across the formation. But we forced him to bubble over the tight end, and at that point, he couldn't even do it.
I think the bottom line is I see all these comments in the chat as we're talking. If Iowa doesn't figure out the passing game, Don, they are not beating Penn State or Oregon, and they are not winning the rest of the games on the schedule. They're not going to beat USC plus Indiana plus Nebraska plus Wisconsin plus Rutgers. They are not, plus Michigan State. They won't. Because somebody will get them. Somebody else will get them. So at a minimum, they're going to have 4 losses at a minimum if they can't get this pass offense figured out. As well as the offensive line is playing, and even if the defense stays really good, and they were pretty good today, that schedule, they're at least losing 4 games. And there have been years where Iowa had a chance to win 10 to 12 games with no offense because they're so good on special teams defense. Not anymore. Schedule's too tough.